Nancy said quietly. It's not the same as before, lass, and you're big enough to understand that. The war's begun proper now, what with Dunkirk and everything. But it was horrible the last time, ma'am. Right from the minute we got off the train and people walked about picking the children they wanted like we were in a cattle market. They wouldn't let us stay together, and I didn't know where Horace and Anna and Susan had gone. I know, Cora, I know. And Horace lost his suitcase because I couldn't look after him and he didn't get it back for days. Please, ma'am, let us stay here with you. Don't you think I want to do that, lass? I missed you even more than you missed me. Cora's truculent expression told her mother what she thought of that. I did, really, but I knew it was for your own good. But it wasn't, was it? Nothing happened here. We could have stayed. That was then and this is now, and like I said, it's not the same. Hitler had shown all too clearly what he was capable of when he'd sent the German Air Force to bomb Guernica to support Franco 2 years ago, Nancy thought, a chill flickering down her spine. The terrible outcome for the undefended town had shocked everyone, and she'd never forget a word of what she'd read. The reporter had written that the whole town had been systematically pounded to bits and reduced to just charred bodies, flames, smoke and debris. It had been a calculated act of terror by Hitler, and it hadn't even been his war, not like this one. What that madman would do now didn't bear thinking about. Her thoughts making her voice sharper, Nancy said, Don't argue, Cora. You're going and that's that. I'm not having you and the others put in harm's way when I can do something about it. I'd rather be in harm's way than living with Mr. and Mrs. Riley. They wouldn't let us stay in the house except to eat meals and sleep, even if it was pouring with rain. Weekends they'd turn me and Maria out after breakfast, and we'd have to walk the streets. I'm not going back there. You won't have to. It'll be somewhere different. Where? I don't know, Cora, but that's enough now. I mean it. When her mother spoke in that certain tone, Cora knew she meant business. For a moment the temptation to scream and shout and stamp her feet like a bairn in a tantrum was strong, but as the eldest of 5 siblings, she was expected to be sensible and grown up, besides which she'd promised her da she'd help her mam while he was away fighting. The thought of her father melted the hard ball of resentment in her chest. She knew her mam was worried to death about him, and so was she. He hadn't been one of the vast number of men who had been rescued from Dunkirk, and they had no idea if he had been killed or taken prisoner by the Germans. She felt sick just thinking about it. She put a tentative hand on her mother's arm. Sorry, ma'am, she said quietly, her voice subdued. I just want us to stay together as a family in our own home. So do I, lass. So do I. But I have to think about what's best for you and the others first and foremost, and that's not staying here. Now go and pack your things and then you can help me get the other suitcases ready. You've got to be at the school for 8 tomorrow, and you can't be late. She didn't want to start packing. It made this too real. Cora bit down on her bottom lip as she glanced towards the kitchen window. Beyond their yard, her brother and 3 sisters were playing in the back lane, oblivious of what was afoot. The 4 of them had had instructions to stay in the lane and not venture into the streets as they sometimes did, especially her brother, who was always disappearing, given half a chance. But a few days ago there had been a nasty accident involving one of Cora's classmates, Godfrey Taylor, a lad who lived in the next street. He'd been playing with some pals when he'd fallen under a tram and had had both his legs chopped off above his knees. They'd been told at school by a grim-faced teacher that he was in hospital and fighting for his life, and that if he recovered he would be in hospital for a long, long time. Cora had sat next to Godfrey in class, and she'd always liked him. He was the class clown and made her laugh. Sometimes they had sat talking together at playtime, and he'd taken to walking home with her and carrying her bag. Now he would never walk again, not on his own legs. It was horrible, just horrible. Dragging her mind away from Godfrey, she returned it to the matter in hand. Her mother had